Creativity in engineering. Why do we need it and what is it? And how can we use creativity to help our careers? Well, I'm joined today by Richard Hopkins. He has been the 19th president of IBM's Academy of Technology. So, Richard, welcome today. You've been working with some huge teams. You must have seen an awful lot of CVs. What are you looking for in someone who's applying to work with you? What are you looking for that will show that little bit of creativity and maybe make them stand out?
Yeah, well, I'm always looking for somebody who's slightly diverted from the beaten track. We all get good GCSEs and then move on to good A levels and get good degrees, and it's all marvelous. Frankly, you can work. You look at the government statistics. You know how many people get A's and B's and all that kind of stuff. Getting academic grades and working your way through the sausage machine of academia, as I like to call it, is fine. Yeah, but it doesn't make you stand out. What makes you stand out is doing something a little bit different. Actually understanding the reason you're learning all this gubbins is so that actually you can use it in the real world and you can do something with it. So that's what I like to see. I like to see people actually taking a skill that they've learned, whatever it is, and it really doesn't matter what it is, and finding a way to use it for the betterment of themselves, the betterment of the world, the betterment of other people. I don't know. I don't really care what they've done with it, but they've actually had the gumption and the intelligence and the applied intelligence to be able to go off and do something. And that always involves creativity, because it's off that beaten track. It's off it's taking the blinkers off and doing something different. And that is always a creative step.
Doing something they haven't been told to do, maybe.
Precisely. Yeah. I mean, it's using that initiative to say, and the other thing it does is it shows an enjoyment. It shows a desire to do two things. One of which is, I actually enjoy what I'm doing here, so I'm going to go off and do it. So first of all, that the person you're hiring, is actually interested in hopefully whatever you're hiring them for, but I mean, or in a related area. So that's one thing. The other thing it shows is what what is now a trendy term is called a growth mindset. This ability to continually learn and adapt. Frankly, technology especially in my area changes every 3 years now. I mean, every 5 years there's a major kind of turnover and you look around and everything's changed. But even every 3 years now, we're getting to the stage where you won't understand any of the technology that's been used unless you've actually been playing with it and keeping up. So this idea to continually learn and relearn, that growth mindset, is incredibly important. If I'm hiring someone, I'd like to be able to say I'm going to hire them for 10 years or more. Yeah. Because actually the cost of hiring somebody is quite high. Teaching them how to fit in within an organization as big as IBM, with 350,000 people, and 200,000 of those are technical, at least 200,000 of those are technical, that's a lot of investment we're going to make in somebody. So to know that they're able to move with the times and reskill, and they'll do that themselves. They won't need to be told to do it. They can go off and do it is deeply, deeply important.
So I'm just going to have to ask, I can see a Dalek on your mantelpiece behind you. Is this one of the toys that you've been playing with?
Yeah. So the Dalek's probably the slightly, rather sadly, the dog has got no clothes. So the Dalek's one thing, but this is actually the interior of my robot dog. So yeah, beautifully wired, as you can see. So this is what I do. I take stuff around schools and this kind of stuff and demonstrate robots. So I've got a small one over there, which is a small robot dog, and but I've got this big one, which is a bit outrageous. He can this weekend. You can probably see there's a Coke bottle there. You see the Coca-Cola bottle there? Yeah, I was teaching him this weekend to recognise a Coca-Cola bottle, so that he can start following that around the lounge. So the Coca-Cola bottle is standing in for my legs. So the idea is the next phase of this guy's development. He's used to kind of homing in on me with me holding a ultrasonic screwdriver that I made, but I want to get rid of the ultrasonic screwdriver because it's a bit cheesy. And move to the fact that he's going to use face recognition and also recognize the back of my legs so that he can actually heal, because it's quite a difficult thing for a robot to do, especially a home-built robot. Oh, I should have mentioned the whole idea of this is it's built out of commodity technologies. So the actual heart of this robot is a Raspberry Pi, not surprisingly, and then he's built out from there. So the idea
things
is
you could just buy online, no problem.
Just like all the stuff behind you, Lucy. I mean, it's and my stack of those is just over there on the bookcase. It's really so that, and I've got people literally copying me around the world. I've got people in Australia building. Someone sent me a printed version of the back panel of my robot the other week, saying, "Look what I printed. How do I get rid of this bit?" So the idea is to inspire people to actually get involved in technology, but also to re-educate myself. Because frankly, I'm quite expensive these days. By the hour, and no one is going to pay me to code at my rate, especially given the state of my coding. Given that, the only way I can keep hands-on with technology is to do this kind of stuff, is to build robots. And the reason it's robots is because I fell in love with this particular robot when I was 7. All right, it's K9 from Doctor Who.
Yeah, right, yes.
I was 7 years old, 8 years old when he
hiding
came
behind the
on
sofa.
TV. Hiding behind the sofa from the dogs. Yeah. And I was genuinely terrified of Doctor Who when I was a kid. And when K9 came in, I felt a lot happier. So K9 is my hero. Not so much the Doctor, but K9. So I always wanted, from the age of 7 onwards, to build a real K9. And this one over there, he can talk, he can walk, he can wag his tail, he can do pretty much anything the one on the TV could do. But it's a real robot built from commodity technologies.
So probably to summarize then, you're playing with something that was a childhood dream, but whilst you're playing with it, you're learning, you're keeping up to date, but you're also managing to take it around schools and inspiring other people. So you're actually combining a load of different things in one project that no one's asked you to do.
No.
But it's
many
just
people have
showing
probably asked me to stop. Lots of people have asked me. It's a really good example of a non-zero sum game. Lots of people are benefiting from this. I'm personally benefiting. The kids are benefiting, and frankly, I know that we wouldn't have won some pretty major contracts within IBM, if I hadn't been up to date with the latest technologies. I know that's happened. I've had that feedback that, because I was able to talk to a bunch of developers in their native language, that gave us an edge. That was something that the other, seniors or executives in the other companies weren't doing. So there you go.
And can you give a little history about yourself and your interesting career, please?
Well, I'm not sure it's interesting, but I'll try. I don't have the average start to an engineer's career. I actually did English language and literature at Durham University. Now, it has to be said, I did spend most of my career at university on the wrong floors of the library. So I read an awful lot of science, and I read an awful lot of maths, and I did a lot of programming. English degrees tended to be a bit like that. You had plenty of time. So when I left Durham with my degree, I applied to IBM, which at the time was was the largest computer manufacturer and software company on the planet. And really, what I've done since then is learned how to build very complex, difficult systems. A lot of them I've built for the UK government, but I've worked with banks and insurance companies and everything else as well. And in doing that, I've learned a lot of engineering skills. Eventually becoming a chartered engineer, and recently with Lucy becoming a fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering. So I must have done something right. And at the same time as doing that, what I've been trying to do whilst I've been doing that, the interesting thing about building those kind of systems is you start off small. You start off building relatively simple things. And then over time, as you build your reputation, they give you bigger and bigger projects, and you end up running, a project with 300 technical people on it or whatever, and you're in charge. And that takes you away from the technology. So I do tend to try and keep dabbling hands-on with the technology just to keep myself grounded. The technology moves so fast these days. I think you have to. So that's my career. Basically, just building complex stuff.
Excellent. Thanks very much for your time, Richard.
My pleasure. Great to talk to you again.